Good Sunday evening, everyone. Mwah. Let's get in the mood for something creepy and fun. The original 1968 George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Yes. So, of course, it's October, and we're going to be having a couple of films here that are right up your alley if you like things spooky and gory. And in 2 weeks from tonight, of course, we are going to be doing... you thought I was going to say it, didn't you? You'll have to find out at the end of the show what's coming up in 2 weeks. But I will tell you, it is absolutely not any Friday the 13th movie because we would have done that next Friday or on the weekend. But I decided, as much as I like Friday the 13th movies and slasher films like that, there's not a whole lot to tell unless you're talking about the whole of the story, what happens to Jason, that sort of thing. So I won't touch those films because it's just kind of silly. But anyway, this week we are doing the classic Night of the Living Dead. And my regular cohorts are not joining me this evening. One was called away. The other one got busy. And the other one is not up to sorts right now. Kind of feeling just a little bit under the weather. So they are just going to sit it out this week. And hopefully all of them will be back next week. But my very special guest I have known for a very, very long time. We actually have known each other since grade school. He is horror author and screenwriter, Mr. Sheldon Higdon. Oh, Sheldon, how are you this evening?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I am doing better than I was doing 2 weeks ago. So if I cough and stuff a little bit here and there, everybody knows that I lost my voice 2 weeks ago on air. So I'm doing better. So
Oh, you sound good. So
I'm alive. I'm not Night of the Living Dead, so that's good.
well, that's a plus side. That's always a plus side.
Yeah, but hey, before we get into the movie, I'm going to put this banner up here because, of course, Sheldon has his own website. It's sheldonhigdon.com, and he has this brand new book out, which I have right here. And I swear I'm going to try to get to reading this. And it's not even that. It's not like it's War and Peace. I mean, it's this would be a fairly quick read for me. It's only 277 pages, but I would get through this fairly fast. But like I was telling you before we got on air, I read in spurts.
Yeah.
So it's just like once I actually sit down and start reading this, it'll be done in a day. But I can't wait to hopefully I'll get this read before I see you on October 19th in Amherst, Ohio for a signing. But this is his new book, Erie Brothers and the Witches of Autumn. And you want to tell us a little bit about it before we get into the movie?
Yeah, about twin brothers who have to travel back to 1692 Salem, Massachusetts during the witch trials and stop a bad judge and also witch by the name of Hex from entering our current world, where if he does, he will control not only all magic and humans and the hidden ones, which are fairies and things of that nature. He will control Mother Nature herself.
Wow.
And so the future isn't too bright for anyone if he happens to get to our time. So,
yeah, that's because like when I read the back of the book, that tells me a little bit about that's a little more than what I just can't wait to delve into it. Because
me too.
you haven't read your own book? Come on.
I write with my eyes shut, so I don't know.
And then
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you can order the book wherever books are sold, Amazon, Books A Million, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think it sat me back a whole, I think $11 or $12.
Yeah.
So
$11 basically.
And I've already recommended it to a couple of my friends, so hopefully they'll grab a copy of that and they will enjoy that. And I see you have your scarecrow back there, which is very similar to the one on the cover. And my other cohort on the show, Johnny Graphics, has mentioned that what a beautiful cover it is, and it is. It's just a fantastic cover.
It's done by a man by the name of Florian Gardet out of Paris.
Excellent.
So yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for that cover. He did really good.
He did wonderfully, absolutely wonderfully. Well, let us delve into Night of the Living Dead. Now, of course, a lot of people may or may not know, but a lot of people I'm sure do know that this movie was filmed in Pittsburgh, and it takes place in Pittsburgh. And of course, that's where you currently live, is in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yeah. Lived here since 1995.
And now I believe you told me that the cemetery at the beginning of the film, which is, well, you can kind of see the cemetery here. You said
Yeah.
that you've actually visited that cemetery a couple of times.
Oh yes, several times. If you go back a little bit, you're going to see, especially when they first pull up in park, you're going to see a little chapel in the background. And I've been there several times. I took taking pictures of it. It was in disarray, and there was a movement to get it fixed so it wouldn't fall apart and be gone forever because it was in this movie. And so I wrote an article that appeared in the Rue Morgue magazine about it. And they were able to get money and save it, and it's still there. And now they use it for small weddings and all sorts of cool stuff. But yeah, I've been to the cemetery hundreds of times. Well, not hundreds of times, but I've been there a lot. And it's funny because when you go there, some of the scenery that when you go there is still there, like you would, from the movie. But the cemetery isn't exactly the same way as it was back then because after this film, there was a tornado. And it uprooted a lot of trees and stuff like that. So it doesn't look, but the gravestones that they visit in the movie are still, you can go find them and take pictures next to them and that stuff. But,
excellent.
yeah, matter of fact, a couple of weeks from now, I got to go out that way. So I'll probably stop at the cemetery that day.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if I lived anywhere near where there was like a film that was something that is now a classic, I would definitely want to go visit that. I mean, you probably see it way in the background here. Right there is my model of Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard, which of course is the Fox building in Los Angeles.
Yep.
And if I ever got to go to LA, screw Disneyland, anything, I want to see Nakatomi. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
so if I was in Pittsburgh and if I went, I love this movie. Am I like a huge fan like somebody else would be? Not necessarily, but I respect the film and, I do like the film. But, my mecca would be going to see Nakatomi Plaza. But I'm sure that there are many people who are like, hey, we're already here in Pittsburgh, and I heard that it's nearby. Hell yeah, I'd be going to that cemetery. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
A lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people come to Pittsburgh to visit that cemetery as well as the Monroeville Mall because of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, right, the Dawn of the Dead, the mall from the original Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, just to go to those locations, people come all the time.
And of course, all the stores have changed, or most of them have changed since.
Yeah. I mean, when I first moved here, I went there. Of course, me and my wife went there, and it was pretty much still like it was from the movie, pretty much. And now, shortly after that, they did a remodel. So yeah, it's a lot of that stuff that you see in the movie is not there no more.
Well, let me ask, because I can't wait to tell you my side of this first question. But what was your initial reaction to Night of the Living Dead the very first time you watched it, and how has that changed over the years?
See, when I saw it, I was young. And I remember just, when you're watching, zombies and stuff like that. Of course, they don't say the word zombie in the movie at all. No. But I just remember seeing it and just thinking it was cool because for me, that was something that was completely, especially, I'm talking young, it wasn't your usual fare, it wasn't your usual, back then I remember watching TV like every night or Friday night or Saturday night, there'd be a horror film like on ABC. Oh, yeah. It was either the alligator, or it came out of the sewer system, and
the kid who flushed it down the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, so you're used to seeing that kind of stuff, but then all of a sudden you see, something that's more relatable to you because it's about people, but yet they're eating each other, they're eating other people. And so that really brings it home and a little closer to you than you want it to be. And so it sticks in your head, especially as a young kid.
Oh, yeah.
You're used to monsters under the bed and in the closet and that kind of stuff, but you're not used to monsters being just like you almost.
Right. Yeah. I mean, where anybody that could potentially become one of those monsters, as opposed to something supernatural or what have you.
And that's probably the reason why, from a writing standpoint, a lot of my monsters in my stories or whatever are usually people.
That's interesting too.
So
Yeah. Uh, when I originally saw this movie, I had heard about the movie many a time, and I was pretty young when I saw it too. I want to say about 13, maybe 14, but I was about 13, I think. And I I'd watched horror movies before, you know. There was a guy that we actually went to school with, and his name was Walt, and you know probably which Walt I'm talking about. And I used to hang out with him quite a bit. And like when we were in grade school, that kid was my best friend. So he lived over on Annis Road in South Amherst, and that's where cable started on the east end of town and moved west. So I watched Poltergeist, you know, The Exorcist, movies like that over and over and over again when I'm like 10, 11, 12 years old
yeah,
over at his house. But then when I saw this movie sitting on a shelf at the local Kmart, I said, "Oh, cool!" And it was like, I want to say it was like $2.98 or $3.98 on VHS, and I'm like, "Hey, Mom, can I get this movie?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead." And so we pop it in the cart, and the next thing you know, I put it in the VHS player in my bedroom, and next thing you know, I'm creeped out. I mean, yeah, you know, Reagan stabbing herself with a cross, saying stuff about, you know, Jesus and stuff. No, it doesn't faze me at all. You know, ghosts taking over an entire house, stealing a little girl, and corpses coming up out of a pool. It doesn't faze me at all. Black and white zombies attacking a house creeped me out so badly that I pulled it out of the player, called up my buddy Bruce, who was about 3 years older than me, and I said, "Next time I see you, I'm giving you this damn movie. I want it out of my house." Instead of throwing it in the trash or something, I gave it to him.
Yeah,
I said,
here, you take
record
it.
over it. Yeah, I thought I had like some kind of evil talisman there in the house, you know. So I was, and he made fun of me a little bit about that. He goes, "Hey, I've got your movie here." Ha 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 ha. I'm like, you son of a bitch. So, but that was my initial introduction to the movie. But then many years later, I watched it again, and then I hadn't seen it in a very long time until after I spoke with you. And of course, this movie was your suggestion to review this week. And I said, yeah, let's do that one. I haven't seen it in a long time. And since I saw it last, it may have been 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And now that I'm looking at it, so I actually kind of saw this in a figurative kind of way 3 different times with new sets of eyes.
Yeah.
So now that I've seen this in 2023 at the age I am now, I have a much deeper appreciation for it now, especially seeing all the zombie movies and zombie TV shows and stuff. Now, granted, there are some things that I kind of went, no. But there were some things I was like, yeah, I could see where a lot of these things came from and stuff like that. So, you know, I have a deep respect for this movie. Just like, for example, now, there are people out there that might like certain bands.
Yeah.
And they may not like others. And there are a couple of bands, I won't even say who they are because I don't want somebody going, how can you not like them? Some people like beef, some people don't.
Yeah.
Some people like chicken, some people don't. Okay? There are 2 bands out there. I respect them, but I cannot stand to listen to them. Okay? And it's the same thing with some films. You know, this film, I like watching it, but I also respect it, even though there's a couple of flaws that I would be like, using today's eyes.
Yeah.
Also, and then, of course, now, the film was, of course, done in black and white. It didn't have to be done in black and white. I mean, I would imagine that you may have a little more insight as to why they did it in black and white. I would imagine it would be just for cost reasons, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But do you think that the film's black and white cinematography, how do you think that it contributes to the atmosphere and impact of the film even now?
Well, I think the black and white brings more of a bleakness to it. And also, you know, because you're talking about humanity being overtaken by flesh-eating, you know, zombies. So this isn't a great moment. If it was all colorful, and splashy and all that stuff, it would sort of take away that tone or that idea.
Sure.
So if you're making it black and white, yeah, it was probably done, and I'm sure I've heard that reason, but it was probably done for monetary reasons. But it does add a grittiness to it. You know, it brings a realness to it, an honest. You know, you're looking at it through almost honest eyes, because it's sort of, you know, it's like you know, Ansel Adams, that photographer. He takes a lot of those famous black and white photos.
Right.
I mean, they're great. You know, you have the stark shadows and that's the light, and you have, you know, if you were to just recolor those, it would take away the power of those pictures. And that's the same thing with this. You know, I think it would just take away so much. You know, now if it was played off as a comedy, which when they first came up with the idea, that was the idea, was that they're going to do a comedic sort of horror film in a way. You know, then you're going to have over top, and then it will make sense to do color, like, you know, with Army of the Dead and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, no, black and white is the perfect image for this film. And there have been colorized versions, by the way.
I remember seeing a colorized version on a shelf one time, and I'm sure it was done by Ted Turner, of course. And when those things were being done back in the early or late 80s to early 90s and stuff, it's not like they have the same kind of colorization process they have now. So, I mean, sometimes you'll see some of these photos, and movies, but there's just an example. There's a photograph of my parents that I scanned. It was like one of those pictures that was from like a photo booth.
Yeah.
And I scanned it with PhotoMine, and it cleaned it up. This was a couple years ago. And I reopened the app one day, and it said, "Oh, hey, we can colorize your black and white pictures now." And I'm like, "Would you like to try some?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I tried it, and when it colorized that particular photo of my mom and dad, and this is like when they were first dating, and we're talking like 1969, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
And when it colorized that photo, it was so stark and so exact and so beautiful. And my wife was sitting there when I did it, and I nothing surprises me nowadays, but that absolutely knocked my socks off, and it brought tears to my eyes. And I went, "Look at this picture." And she goes, "Are you crying?" I go, "Look at this picture." And she saw. So I think that if they colorized it today and did it correctly, it would we could definitely see an impact difference as opposed to watching it in black and white.
There'd be a contrast for sure.
Yeah, I think that there would definitely be a contrast, but I think I would still prefer it in black and white. And as I was telling you before we came on the air, I saw the restored version on HBO Max, also known now as Max.
Yeah.
And it's like you're watching a brand new film, of course, albeit it's in black and white.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful to watch it on Max. It's just, as opposed to these other copies that are just out there that are just like, you know, crap copies like the one that I got from the library. And I'm like, this is shitty to watch. It was rough. But I don't think I would want to see it in color. I think it might ruin my perception of the movie.
Yeah, I think it would too. I think it would take something away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go over to the chat here real quick and see what's going on over there. Hey, there's Kool-Aid Kool-Aid 01. Love this movie. And there's Dave. Hey, Dave, how's it going? The movie that started the zombie genre and a horror classic. Absolutely. And here's Todd. They're dead. They're all so messed up. Yes, they are. Angela Brixey, "They're coming to get you, Barbara," is my mom's ringtone. I love that. I was going around the house because I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I've actually watched it 2 or 3 times. Well, 2 more times since then. And I caught myself today saying, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." So that's funny.
That's an iconic line.
Hey, look at this. There's an old friend of ours.
Yep.
Hey, Art, how's it going? Big Chuck and Little John movies. Yeah, they did show that on Big Chuck and Little John. Yep. And Mysticles, there, everyone. And so, yeah, I can't watch old Twilight Zone in color. Yeah, that would be weird. And then Paul says, "What up? Seen Night for the first time on Chiller Theater."
That was awesome. Back here in Pittsburgh. Chiller Theater was like Big Chuck and Little John, like, you know, but back in the 70s and stuff. Billy Chili was. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I remember there's like all kinds of shows like that, like Big Chuck and Little John,
Well,
Little
yeah, I
Mermaid, The
watched them
Ghoul.
every Saturday night. Yeah,
Yeah.
right after
Um,
the news. But
okay.
it's yeah, it's just one of those movies that I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times, like and but yet I still watch it, at least once a year around this time. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because I live where they made it, or if it's I mean, or if it's just because it's zombies. But I mean, when they first wrote the script, it was called Night of the Flesh Eaters.
Right.
Because they're ghouls, is what they are. They're not, but it's become synonymous with the word zombies. Because zombies were around before this movie, because you're talking about a different type of zombie that
Voodoo zombies.
Exactly, voodoo and all that stuff. And so
Santeria.
yeah, this was the first time that but this was the first time they were, there were people eating flesh, of other people, and then of course it became Night of the Living Dead. So.
I also want to point out I love the word Santeria. Just to just to point that out. Just rolls off the tongue. Santeria. But yeah, this picture here, like when they were eating, I forget who these guys were eating here. I think that might have been what were the characters' names? Judy and
There's Ben is the main character.
Ben's the main character. It was Judy and I don't know his name. Did he even have it? Tom. Was it Tom?
Yeah, the other guy with the
Yeah,
it
who
tells
was
you. I
in the
watched
cellar.
I've seen this movie so many times I can't even tell you the characters' names.
But that's the funny thing is I think they might have said his name only like once or twice. Now they said Judy a couple times. Judy, come up from the basement. I want we want to talk. And oh hey Judy, can you go down to the basement and watch their daughter while she's down there almost dead. So and also it's easy for remember Judy because that's my half sister's name. So I was like oh Judy, but I was like Judy and Tom. That's not my brother-in-law's name. Now, the character Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, he was groundbreaking for his time. Now, how do you think his role influenced the horror genre and filmmaking in general?
Well, being a black man playing the lead character in a film surrounded by other white characters, that's a huge thing.
Especially for its time, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. This is the end of the civil rights movement, so it's a huge thing. But as I've said before, he got the part not because of his skin color, but because he was the best actor for the part. In the original script, it was a white person. Ben was a white guy.
Okay.
But when they tried everybody out, he was the best actor, so therefore he got the part. That's simply that reason. It wasn't for any other reason but the fact that he was the best man for the job.
Well, there were a couple of good performances in here, but nothing came close to him.
No, he carries the whole movie.
He was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was really good, and he went on and did other films and stuff, and ended up working for a university and stuff, and so yeah, and he died in '88, I think.
Yeah, I'll have to look up some other films that he was in because he was fantastic in this film.
Yeah,
and then and of course Tony Todd, who was in the remake. He's a great actor in his own right, and he's done a lot of horror movies. He's done Star Trek and sci-fi. I mean, is he a Shakespearean actor by any means? No, but he's very good. And they got somebody to amply fill the shoes of Dwayne here when they got Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So, and that was a good move on their part, which I still need to rewatch the remake because like I said I haven't seen that in many years. That one was really good, but I don't remember the differences, but we're not here to talk about that one right now. Now
plus Dwayne Jones too is as a person he was a really smart dude, a really smart guy. He's handsome. I mean so he fit, he was in fact the best person for the job. And so of course everybody soon after Martin Luther King's assassination that same year and all that stuff, then you get people thinking that this was all done by design, but it wasn't.
Well, what was I think I might have mentioned, and I don't remember the line exactly, but the one line that he delivers. Well, there was a little soliloquy when he was talking about how the gas truck was being attacked by the by the ghouls and stuff and just raced on by. That was great. But that one sequence when he was telling Mr. Cooper that his daughter's father was an idiot.
Yeah.
And that he felt sorry for her because
You have an idiot dad.
yeah, because she has an idiot dad.
Yeah.
I actually stopped the film and I said, "Honey, come here. You gotta hear," because she wasn't watching the movie with me the first time I ran through it last week. You gotta hear this line, and she goes, "That's hilarious." I'm like, not only is it hilarious, it's beautifully delivered. You know, I mean, he probably had that in his pocket all day and said, "I ain't touching it." You know, that is the way I'm going to say it, and that's all he had to do.
Well, yeah, he's putting a character in its place who's going to end up getting them all killed.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah. So, that was
simply because of his stupidity.
Yep.
And because he thought that he was the cock of the walk. He
was
the man in charge.
And and he just thought that his way was always the best way.
His way's the best way.
Yeah.
He's the smart guy. No, he was the dumbass.
Yeah, that's why he's down in the basement hiding.
The only person in this movie that was in the house who I think was dumber than him was Tom.
Yeah.
Tom was a damned idiot. Oh, my jacket's stuck. Well, I can get a new girlfriend. That's what I would have said. I'm not getting back in that truck. Oh, but what if that was your wife? Well, I would have said tug harder from 10 feet away. I love you, honey. But she saw that too, and she goes, "That was stupid." And I go, "Yep, that was stupid." Now, granted, if that was like my little kid or something, I'm going to go back in. I'm probably going to I'm like, "Nah, you're on your own. Call Scott a coward. I don't care. I'm not ending up BK broiler for anybody."
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. No, I would. But anyway, so how has the portrayal of the zombies in cinema evolved? How have they evolved since Night of the Living Dead? And what do you think makes Romero's zombies unique? And let's start at this film, especially because there is a little bit of inconsistency that has been talked about. I read a couple of different articles. But then again, you and I were talking before the show, and is it inconsistent, or is it something that's kind of, not necessarily hinted at, but something you kind of have to surmise on your own about that first zombie, this lovely gentleman right here.
Yeah, Bill Heinzman.
Yes.
He's considered the first zombie. Yeah, he actually went on and directed some films too. Because you see him when you first see him in the cemetery. He's sort of walking slowly.
Right.
But then when the fight happens, he's moving pretty good. He's
not, quite aggressive.
He's not getting shoved down all the time and just sort of kicked to the side like he's fighting back. And then when she gets in the car, he's attacking the car pretty good, pretty quickly. And he even thinks for a moment where he grabs a brick. He looks behind him, sees the brick, grabs it, and then he starts hitting the window and breaks it. So he's sort of fast. And he's also thinking, but again, like you said, is this something that's done on purpose as a precursor to what comes later, or is this because he's sort of more fresher from the grave?
Right.
And this is still things that he can still sort of operate to some degree. I don't know, because later on he's sort of, when he's outside the house, he's sort of slow again. He's sort of a bit shambling. So I don't know. I would like to think it's because he's just a bit more fresher from the grave, but I don't know if anybody else has ever come up with an answer for that.
Well, I think the perception is because if people aren't paying attention to the film, especially when the newscasters are talking, they're saying they're the recent dead. It's the unburied dead that are coming back to life. Nobody's coming up out of the graves like you would see in Michael Jackson's Thriller or Return of the Living Dead or something like that.
Half skeletons and stuff.
Yeah, which would I'm not sitting here. We're not going to sit here and talk the possibilities and probabilities of corpses rising from the grave, but that is absolutely impossible, especially if they have vaults. They're never going to get out of it. Yeah, but this guy, I think. Personally, it may have been a mistake, either a mistake or it was genius to have them starting in a cemetery, because one's going to think, well, if this guy is attacking them from a cemetery, he must have come out of the
he's
grave.
Local, yeah, he's right there.
Right, but that's not necessarily true. He may have been, killed right down the road.
Yeah,
Somebody ran
passing
him
through.
over. Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is wearing a sort of a nice suit. Yeah, you'd be
Yeah, and
buried in.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah,
but it's ripped up right here, so
yeah,
something may have happened. It's not like he clawed his way out of a grave, which would
yeah.
somebody might be assuming if they saw all these other films first. Now these guys also cooperate with each other a little bit because number one, they don't like bright lights, they don't like fire. I mean they when Ben and Judy are in the house, not Judy, Ben and Barbara are in the
Yeah,
house.
Barbara.
They're attacking the vehicle outside, using rocks to destroy the lights, and then of course he lights a chair on fire and tosses out there, and they're kind of like,
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
bad. They hate bright lights and fire. One thing I also noticed is these guys, all of them, or almost all of them, they're using tools right off. They're finding stones, or I will fast forward a little bit, but this girl here, their daughter in the basement,
Trowel.
yeah, she finds that trowel, and I cried bullshit immediately because they had all these things right there, and she just kind of goes over, and it's not like she's stumbling. She's like, "There's something I can kill somebody with," and grabs it. Like she's really thinking, not kind of like what can I grab to hurt somebody with? Smash. It's like, and then she automatically knows how to use it. So I'm sitting there kind of going, I don't know about that.
But yeah, again, is that because she just literally died? It came right
Just
back.
died.
So that memory muscle is still there.
Still there.
But yeah, when you see Kira Shawn, that's who that is. When you see her giving out autographs, she signs trowels.
Oh, does she?
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
I have a card from her she made once. She gave me so. But yeah, but I think to me that's it never bothered me just because I assumed that since she just literally died and then
Right.
kind of woke back up, I assumed it was just a muscle memory thing that still lingers.
Now,
And that goes into the whole Dawn of the Dead,
right.
because there's a moment in the movie where they're talking about how why are they here, and they're like, well, because this is what they knew from what they were before,
Right.
going to the mall and shopping, and
Shopping.
so it's the same thing with this kind of.
They're doing what they did in life.
Yeah, and so this just could be like we were mentioning before. This could be all precursors setting up all that stuff to advance the zombie, genre itself into thinking zombies and whatnot.
Let's pop back over to the chat here real quick and see what's going on. Kool-Aid01 says Romero stated supposedly that it was in black and white. It looked more real, especially since they used chocolate syrup. Yeah, kind of like the whole Hitchcock
Psycho,
thing.
Yeah.
With a Psycho. The blood did look more real. Yeah, and that is one thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember a couple people that we went to high school with. They went to, and I even considered it. And another friend of mine also went to the Pittsburgh Institute of Art. I was considered. Did you go to Pittsburgh Institute of Art? I
The Art Institute of Pittsburgh, yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Because I know a friend of ours, Dan, he went there, and I believe he did finish, if I'm not mistaken. I know my buddy Art finished. But yeah, Mystically says, hey Matt, how's it going? I'm a practical effects guy all the way. Me too. I think that CGI should be used in only two instances. One, you're sharpening something up. Well, actually three. You're sharpening something up or fixing something that would be really expensive to go back and refilm.
Yeah.
Or it's something impossible to do. Or
And that's probably the most common reason to use it.
yeah.
Because but here I'm living in a world where Savini lives, so there's no such thing as CGI. You know what I mean? So this is practical effect world, so you kind of have to. It's always the best to use practical effects.
Absolutely, practical effects for the win.
And it's why The Walking Dead is so good, because Greg Nicotero from Pittsburgh worked under Savini when he worked on Dawn of the Dead.
Right. Yeah, I watched all of those Talking Deads as well, and I love when Nicotero would be on there talking about the effects and things like that. And he's very he's no stranger to doing the research either.
Oh no,
You
no,
know,
yeah. I mean, Can B did over 400 films and TV shows and
and
commercials.
Wayne says he remembers the Back to the Future 3 1990 Revenge of the Creature poster in 1955. Yeah, the Revenge of the Creature. I guess the morgue closet to the cemetery will be more of the first zombies we see in the film. May have come up since you brought that guys up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for all we know, he could be a pallbearer. So, you know what I mean?
And that's a very good point too. That's a very good point. He could have just been a pallbearer, or he could have been somebody. Who knows? He could have been
Visiting a
somebody
grave.
hiding out in the chapel there, and then he had a heart attack and died.
Yeah, or whatever.
Or whatever.
His
We don't know.
Yeah, he could have been fighting off another zombie before him.
And hence the rip on the jacket. We don't know.
So, and that's the thing, because you can go back, keep going backwards to the diner, which is brought up in the movie where Ben was at. And there have been stories written about the diner and what would happen there before it got to the farmhouse. So yeah, that's the cool thing about this film, is that there's so much room that you can play with.
I would love to see someone actually expand upon that and get some of those stories from different places.
Well,
I mean, and actually make them into film.
Well, yeah. I have it somewhere behind me. There's a book called Knights of the Living Dead. It's an anthology, edited by my buddy Jonathan Mayberry. And there's stories written there. He co-wrote a story with Romero before he passed away.
Okay.
In the book, and they all revolve around what else was happening while this was going on. So if you get that, you'll be able to see other point of views of the zombies happening besides right here at the cemetery with these characters going to the farmhouse.
And that's what I liked about the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I haven't seen the original in a long time, and I've seen it many times, but I remember the remake very well. I do have it here in the house.
Yeah.
And I remember, when she wakes up in the morning, there she is with her husband. They're having a nice lazy weekend day. And the next thing you know, their daughter comes out of nowhere and she's dead and she's biting him, and everything just goes straight to hell from there. And you kind of get to see her journey toward the mall, and her bumping into different people along the way, Ving Rhames, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. Now, do you always want to see that, that backstory, that exposition? Not necessarily, because sometimes it's being forced. But at that time, I don't think it was being forced whatsoever. This movie was initially met with controversy because of its graphic nature. Now, horror motion pictures of the time, they were more campy. The giant Gila monster and stuff like that. Stuff from the 50s and the 60s. People were used to seeing crap like that, and I put crap in quotes because a lot of the movies I like watching.
You're getting out of the nuclear age, so
right. So you're getting out of the nuclear age, and you're starting to ground yourself in a little bit. I hate to say more reality, but something that is maybe a little more plausible or a little more human, if you will.
If you look at the world at the time, especially with the nuclear age, I mean, right before that, you're talking about nuclear weapons. That was like the thing, So all those movies about giant ants and all that, and 50-foot tall woman, they all were a product of the nuclear war,
right.
the fear of that, of the explosions and all that, the tests they would do. And then, of course, then you get the 60s, you have the civil rights movement. Now you have the monsters have changed. The fear has changed. And so now this becomes a product of that, that movement of what was going on around with human beings at that time. And then you can keep going. You look at the 80s and the slashers and all that. I mean, then you're getting into stuff that before that you had, Son of Sam, you had, you know what I mean? So then slashers start coming out of that whole concept, you know what I mean? So it's
Horror
always based out of reality. Yeah. And it's always, that's why whenever we have war and stuff, horror does it the best at the theaters. It makes a lot of money because we like to go see something that we can watch somebody else kind of go through what we're going through. It might be a different version of what we're going through, but it's still a fear or a horror that they're experiencing because we're experiencing something outside of our doors. So we can kind of get away from that and watch somebody else go through something that, you know, we don't have to.
Oh gosh, I want to go watch Barbara get the shit beat out of her instead of me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
But that's
it's
it.
Like,
that is it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, you know.
Now the film, of course, as we mentioned before, was it's been remade and referenced many, many times in various forms over the years. What do you
Shaun
think?
of the Dead.
Yeah, what do you think accounts for its enduring appeal?
Well, because it's what started that genre. You know, the zombies. I mean, it's Pittsburgh's known as the, you know, zombie capital of the world. Yeah. And it's just people paying their respects to the movie that started it all. And of course, a lot of these movies were made by people who love horror. You know, Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, you know, big fans of Romero and stuff. So they made Shaun of the Dead was their sort of homage to Romero and his films. And so, and do you, what was the, in Shaun of the Dead, isn't it Ed, his buddy?
Ed.
Yeah, I always thought that they should have made a sequel and called it like Dawn of the Ed.
Dawn of the Ed.
Yeah, and then make a sequel, but of course it never happened. But
yeah, and,
you know, and they referenced the one line, "We're coming to get you, Barbara," because the mom.
Yeah, we're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. I saw an article recently because there was always rumor that he was going to make another sequel or make a sequel to it, and he recently said, "No, we're not doing that." He goes, "If we would have done that, we would have done that years ago. But now that it's been so long, number one, it's not like Ed could be in the movie then because he's dead. He would have rotted away by now."
Yeah,
you know,
it would have to take place shortly after, and
right.
And plus, it would take away a lot from the first movie. You know, you have a lot to live up to.
Right, and I'm sure Nick Frost has definitely aged, and we know Simon Pegg has. So
yeah, as long as they all three keep working in the future, I'm happy. So that's all.
Right,
all that matters to me.
Now, the Night of the Living Dead has a somewhat open-ended conclusion. Sheldon, what are your thoughts on the way the film ends and its implications?
Yeah, this is where the where it gets heavy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody, because of what happened during those times, and because of race relations in this country, you know, a lot of people will sit there and go, "Well, the guy who pulled the trigger, you know, he knew he was killing an innocent black man."
But the house was dark. Number one.
Yeah. I mean, there are things where, again, in the original script, it was a white man.
Right.
So if you were to, in your head, replace Dwayne Jones with a white person, then would it be looked at the same way? Probably not.
No.
You know, they would go, "Oh, he sees a zombie," because he doesn't know if it's a zombie, but he's making the assumption that it is, and so shoot it right between the eyes and let's get going and let's burn it up.
And he did reference it that way. It wasn't like he was, you know, it wasn't like he was being very human or humane about that. It was kind of like, to just shoot it or shoot him between the eyes and let's just get this over with.
Yeah, he to him, zombies are just
furniture. You know,
it's
pest.
It's a bug. Let's shoot it, kill it, let's burn it, let's get moving on. So yeah, if it was meant to be, I think from a race standpoint, I think there would have been something else in there that would give us a clue about that. Or when you're speaking to, when you see the character early on in the film, there could have been something there that would have set up this part, knowing that it was being done for a different reason than other than killing a zombie.
Right.
And that's never in there. So because of the times and everything that takes place in the race relations and all that, I think a lot of people go ahead and they kind of make that assumption. And that's the great thing. That's the great thing about that, is that you can make your own mind about it.
Yeah, and considering that it is, you know, traveling through time, you know, as it were, that, you know, it is getting seen, you know, by different people of different generations, you know, and they all have their own cultural capital, and so they're all going to have their own take on it. Because as I was saying to you beforehand, I I kind of see, people as just people. So when they shot him, and even my wife, Lynn, I was like, what? I'm like, because I love the character. And I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, not every film is going to have a happy ending.
No.
And I was really kind of hoping that after all the crap he went through, that he was going to just, hey, don't shoot. I'm in here. I'm coming out. And then, kind of like at the end of Die Hard, referencing Die Hard again, they get the nice warm blanket over them. They get in the nice car and they get taken away. We're taking you to safety, that sort of thing. As opposed to, well, we just shot another one. Now, removing the, seeing it through those eyes, seeing it through rose-colored glasses, and if we were applying that to a general audience, maybe they might see that as, oh, wow, that, all these guys are doing is just blindly going around shooting whatever they can because they're not being careful. So how many other innocent people accidentally got killed?
Yeah.
Just because they're in the house or they're hiding behind a car, they're terrified, they're in a car, and then they get killed. So, I mean,
well, and that's the thing about zombies is that from far away, you don't know who's a zombie. I mean, unless they're walking, of course, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they are us. So yeah, that's the one thing that we don't know how many other innocent people were killed as well, or after, for that matter.
Now, if you were in the same situation as the characters in this film, what would be your survival guide against the zombies? What would be your not guide, your survival strategy?
Well, they're fortifying the windows and everything with 2x4s, and I can't remember. He throws like a Molotov cocktail at him outside. He goes on the back porch. I think. I can't remember. They don't throw one back, right? I don't remember. I have a bad memory.
The only I remember. See, was it a Molotov cocktail?
Because I go to higher ground.
Right.
Like I would take all the bed sheets, tie them up, and make it sort of a ladder, if you will. Throw it out the window. But I would also go to higher ground and then try to peg them off while I'm on the roof, if I had a weapon.
Well,
but once you get, that's the thing with Romero zombies is that it's not, they're slow, sure, but if you're going to get a whole mess of them, then you can't stop them because there's more of them than you, fast or not. And that's the whole sort of idea behind it is that it's more fearful to die by the slow, mass zombies coming upon you than a few fast ones.
Right. I read, and I have a copy of it here. I have Max Brooks's Zombie Survival Guide. And then, of course, I've seen 28 Days Later, which, of course, people go, zombie movie. I go, no, that's an outbreak movie. Those people are not dead. Well, they act like zombies. No, they don't. They act like people who are infected, and they can be, yeah, and they can be, they can be saved if they find a way to destroy the thing afflicting them, whether it be a virus or bacteria or whatever it is. I don't think they ever said in the movie necessarily, but that's neither here nor there. But like you said, higher ground is the way to go. Mr. Cooper, he had it all wrong, and going into that basement was a bad idea. The first thing they should have done is, and I was telling Lynn this, I said, I would have taken every last bit of furniture, everything, including the refrigerator, upstairs.
Yeah.
And then I would have boarded up everything downstairs that I could, and then I would have removed the entire the safety rail around the hole that leads up to the upstairs. I would have put doors over top of it, and then any other cabinetry on top of that. Mm-hmm. So even if you have 2 or 3 of them knocking, trying to get up, they're not going to be able to get up there.
No.
Number 2, they're not going to drive a car over there and climb up into the window.
Yeah,
now, is it possible they can start a fire and then you're trapped up there? You're only on the 2nd floor. Like you said, bed sheets. If you can find a ladder, you can climb down. But are you climbing down into a mess? We don't know.
Yeah.
This is the chance you take. In 28 Days Later, they were up in a high rise. In Dawn of the Dead, they were safe, especially the original. They were safe in the upstairs hidden part of a mall, which they created their own hidden place. So I think that would be the thing to do. I do remember Max Brooks saying that one of the best places to go is a cemetery. He said
They're all gone.
they're all gone. They're either A, all gone, or B, none of the ones there can get out.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially if there's some place that you can get up high in a cemetery, nobody's going to come there. Worst place to go, hospitals.
Oh yeah.
Absolute worst place you can go.
Yeah, you have a room full of waiting zombies just to wake up and come and get you.
It's just zombie grenades, period. Mystically says, me and my girlfriend, our favorite zombie movies are 28 Days Later and Zombieland. And as I said, Matt, not a zombie movie. 28 Days Later, not a zombie movie. I mean, I know I'm splitting hairs, but those people are not dead. But yes, very good movie. I liked 28 Days. I also liked 28 Weeks Later. I thought that was decent. But Zombieland, yeah, I love the first one. The second one, not so much.
Yeah, the first one
not so
was
much. Yeah, make a big fire. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you have time, if you have time at a backhoe, dig yourself a moat.
See, if you're in the farmhouse, if you can draw them all in and then lock them all in and just set the place on fire.
You're basically doing what Herschel did then in Walking Dead. You're kind of just keeping them, Then you could just go upstairs and start picking them off with a gun.
Yeah, which is what they were doing in the remake of Dawn, right? They were on top of the
yes,
shooting them in the parking lot.
Get Burt Reynolds, shoot Burt Reynolds.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
Burt
exactly.
Reynolds. Okay, well, I'm not positive that you've watched the show many a time, but at the end of the show we always do something a little different. I won't call the end of the show, but this next segment of the show we do something a little different. Sometimes it is something that I'm not about to do, but this time we are definitely doing this. Sometimes we do something a little different other than Harbinger of Memes. If I can't find memes or if I find something that's a little more on the fun side, but we're going to go through the memes this week because I found a few. Now, I will say, they're usually related directly to the film, but this time, let's just think of the theme zombies or zombie, not necessarily Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
So these are not ones that are all directly for Night of the Living Dead. So the zombie apocalypse has begun. Look at all those zombies on their cell phones.
And Stephen King got ahead of that. Wrote a book called Cell. It's a zombie book, and that's what it's. So right there you go.
He nailed it. Happy Thanksgiving. We're happy. We have two extra seats available at the table.
Ooh, isn't that too early?
Yeah, but it's never too early for Negan to show up. So it's just kind of fun, but just a little bit, about 6 weeks too early there. Coffee. Morning of the half woke parents. Coffee.
That's me every morning trying to go to the coffee maker.
Oh my gosh, there was no caffeine in the house this morning, and I felt bad for my daughter because I'm sitting there. I feed her breakfast, and I sit down on the couch and right back out because I was up till 3:30 in the morning. Editing film anyway, so. Hell, it was only after I shot the fourth zombie that I started to wonder why they were carrying bags of candy and ringing my doorbell.
What day is it?
Oh, man. Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, okay, I see there. Cow.
Apocalypse. Eat more people. Well, when you're dead, you don't know that you're dead. All the pain is felt by the others. The same thing happens when you're stupid. Yes, we all know some stupid people. One does simply not eradicate the word zombie from a show about the zombie apocalypse. Thank you, Walking Dead. Oh, those are the walkers or the creepers or the skaters or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, they don't want to use the word.
The face you make when you haven't had coffee. Yay, another zombie coffee.
That's my face when I don't have coffee. It's normal. True fan of Rob Zombie.
You're a true fan of Rob Zombie. Name one song other than The Beautiful People. My friend Marnie, I remember her telling me back in the day when that song was actually quite popular. And she says, you know what's funny? My mom and I were in the car the other day. Now, this is like 1997 or something. We were in the car the other day, and that song comes on the radio, and she starts singing it, and I go, "You know this song?" And she goes, "Yeah, this is a good song." So I thought this was kind of funny. Why doesn't anyone like my casseroles? Poor Carol. Poor, poor Carol. Carol, I would like your, because you know why? Because they're always done with a little bit of love and a lot of buckshot. That is it for the Harbinger of Memes. Well, hey, of course, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be showing you what we're going to be having. I'd like to thank my awesome guest, Mr. Sheldon Higdon. And, of course, don't forget his book, The Erie Brothers and the Witches of Autumn. Grab that now, especially since it's Halloween season. And you want to grab a copy of that now and get yourself in the mood for Halloween. This is going to help you get there.
Grab one for everybody you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at that. I mean, you know, and it's never too early, especially when, number one, you're getting someone to read as opposed to looking at their phone or doing whatever. You know, this is the guy who I love to read. I'll read 2 or 3 books in a row if I can when I start reading, getting me there.
Yeah.
But if you've got a reader in your life, grab one of these, and it's never too early to start thinking about Christmas gifts. So if you're one of those people who like to grab gifts early, grab a copy of Sheldon's book, The Erie Brothers and the Witches.
Halloween is every day, so.
Yeah, especially if you're Marilyn Manson. So, but you know, of course, we have your information up there. Would you like to tell the good people out there where else they can find you on social media, and if you have any book signings coming up, so they can come and get your favorite book signed, or you can actually, I believe you take some of them with you, don't you? You can buy them directly from you.
Yeah, if they want. Yeah, I always have copies on hand. Yeah, I mean, if you go to my website, I have all my social media handles there: Twitter, X, whatever, Facebook, and just all that. Threads, Blue Sky, all that stuff is there. And then for signings, I'm going to be doing one this coming Saturday here out in Pittsburgh. At a half price books actually, and then I'll be doing another one in Monroeville by the Monroeville Mall the following Saturday, and then I'll be at a horror event called Brownsville Screams, which is in Brownsville, PA. And then I'll be in Ohio on the 19th at the Amherst Library. Woo. And I'll be visiting some middle schools there while I'm there that day. And then I'll be back here doing a couple more places, and I'll be back in Ohio, in Oberlin, Ohio at the end of the month, and then some stuff in November. So yeah, I'm just rolling along. So
do you mind if I throw this out there about what our school said to you?
Yeah, if you want. I don't. Yeah, I forgot all about it. To be honest with you.
Our high school is Firelands High School, and we graduated 1,000,000 years ago, and we originally came from South Amherst High School, and our 2 school systems merged and became one back in 1988. And so he had reached out to them and said, "Hey, I'm going to be out there in the area, or I can come out anytime, but I'm going to be out there during this time, and would you like me to come out for a talk or something?" Now, I understand schools have schedules and things like that, so sometimes you just can't fit things in, but they told him no. And I just thought that was kind of funny, because it's not like, if they said they didn't have time. And I think that's kind of funny, because just because you're going to be here during those last couple of weeks or the middle of October doesn't mean you can't come back out in December, January, March, April. Can we schedule something for next year, maybe next September or something like that? Or, I mean, they could have said, we have one of our alumni here, and he'd like to come out and do a talk. I mean, even if you just went into, it wouldn't even have to be like something for the entire school. It could be just for the English classes or something like that, or the drama classes, or a combined thing. So, what a shame that our own school didn't have the foresight to nail you down schedule-wise. So if anybody is watching from Firewinds High School. I mean, this has nothing to do with Sheldon. This is me saying this. Shame on you for not saying, yeah, we would like to have one of our alumni. But here's the irony. A couple of schools who are rival schools of ours snatched him up like that fast. So good for you.
I have schools out of state as well, and I also have virtual events with other schools. So.
Right, and I'm glad that those schools are going to be having you in there because, you know, they're showing not just the value of reading and writing, you know, and becoming a writer and doing these sorts of things, but they're actually showing you somebody who's doing it real world, who is, whether they be from the area or not, but you know, what a valuable thing that would have been to say, and here he is, one of our very own.
Yeah. But
they basically told you, yeah, we're good. And I'm just, I just think that's a rotten shame. So
I you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know,
right.
They have every right to say whatever they want.
And they do. And
I moved on. So.
Right. And I don't expect you to chime in with me because don't do that because, you know, they might want to have you out, but they're not going to ever have me out for any reason. So, you know, I can go ahead. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here dogging them and saying some bad, mean things about them. I'm not. I'm just saying, I just think it's a shame that they didn't have the foresight to go, yeah, you know, October's not good, November's not good, but what about February? Yeah. You know, we do have an extra day in February next year. We could, really? Oh, yeah, the 29th. That'd be great. So what a great opportunity that would have been. But anyway, let's check the comments one more time before we head out. Mysticles, awesome show, guys. Thank you, Mysticles. We appreciate it. Kool-Aid01 says, awesome show. And have a good night, brother. Talk to you later. And yes, when you get time. So have a great rest of the weekend, everyone, Mystically says, and we'll see you later. Yes, absolutely. We appreciate you all. And definitely check out Mr. Higdon's website and check him out on Facebook and his other socials, and definitely order a copy of his book. And my goal is to get this read before the 19th. If not, then he's gonna have to sign my face.
Then you have to buy 5 more. So.
And my daughter gets to kick me in the shin while we're there at the library. But anyway, here's what's coming up on the 22nd, and hopefully my 3 other cohorts will be back with me. Hopefully they're all back in either back in town or in you know, feeling better or less busy or whatever's going on. Hey, we all get busy, and look at me. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even do the show because I was sick. So shame on me for licking doorknobs. So anyway, we will see you all very soon. And here's what's coming up in 2 weeks.
Freddy's coming for you.